Welcome back, art students. In today's lesson, we will create a sandcastle. Ready to begin? In this lesson, you will need black Sharpie marker, crayons, water for rinsing your brush, watercolor paints, salt shaker, and white paper. Okay, let's get started. Let's start with our black Sharpie marker. And we are going to first start in this corner, the right corner of our piece of paper. And if you've noticed, I have got my paper on its side, horizontal instead of vertical. So our paper will be on its side, and we're going to be working in the right corner to start. Going to be doing a round circle for our beach ball. Do the best round circle you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now towards the top of our round circle, we're going to make a small oval. This is the part of the beach ball where maybe you would put air in, you'd blow it up here. Okay, now make a rounded line down. And then another rounded line down to the edge of the ball. Following this line that we made down, go on the other side of the oval and make a rounded line up. And again on the other side, rounded line up. And now we're going to make a curved line down. We're making our stripes in our beach ball. Another line that follows this line. And then on the other side, okay. And then we will go back and color in our beach ball red and white, or maybe you'll choose a rainbow color. Okay, now we're going to start with our sandcastle. So we're going to first make the base of our sandcastle. So making a straight line out, straight short line from our beach ball, and stop. This is the bottom of our sandcastle, and it's sort of hiding behind our beach ball. We're going to make two short lines. One. Following this height, I'm going to come right over and make another one, and this one will go right behind the beach ball. Two. And now we're going to make this really nice decorative feature on the sandcastle. I'm going to make one line in on one side and one line in on the other side. You get these great lines when you fill a bucket and then you dump it. Okay, now a straight line in on both sides. Straight line over. Straight line in. And up. And up. Do you see the pattern we're making here? So if we go over, down, over, up, over, down, over, up, and close that shape. Okay, and now we're making our sandcastle nice and tall. Looks like we would have used 1, 2, 3, 4 buckets of sand to do this. So now I'm going to make a straight line right in the middle, short, and another straight line right on this line here, the side line, up. And these lines are the same. We're going to make that sort of up and down line all the way across, down, then over, then up, all the way across. And now we will make this cylinder shape here on the left, tower. To do this, we're going to make one long line all the way down, leaving some space at the top, and then following this line over, a straight line down. So you should have 2 lines for your cylinder. Let's close our shape. Straight line over. If they don't connect, just connect those. Finding the center of your cylinder here, this rectangle shape we made, I'm going to make a little dot right above the line. This shows me where I'm going to make my slanted lines down to complete the top of this tower. I have a triangle here. Okay, and on this triangle we'll make a straight line up, and now we're going to make our flag at the top of our tower. To make our flag, we'll make a slanted line down and back in, straight line back in. Okay, now we're going to make another tower here, and this tower will be a little higher than this first tower. So let's start with this center line of our first tower, and we'll come up and stop. Make sure you leave a little bit of space at the top for the roof of your tower. And then match this line here. Starting with your castle, go all the way up, straight line up, and stop. Close your rectangle shape, straight line over. Little dot at the very top, and then we're going to make a slanted line in and a slanted line over for the other side to make our triangle. I didn't leave very much space here for my flag, but I can squeeze one in. So I've made my straight line at the top. I'm going to make my slanted line over, down, and back in. All right. Now we are missing some detail in our sandcastle that will make it look very realistic. Let's make a door for our sandcastle. So in the very center of the bottom of the base, we're going to make a rounded arched door. Okay, right in the center, I'm going to go up, rounded line, and back down. And now I'm going to do a few windows on each side. To make my windows, I'm going to do 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I'm going to just do 1, 2 on this side, and then 1, 2 on the other side. They are going to match my rounded arch here. So on these straight lines we made, I'm going to go up, rounded line, and down. Make that arching window. We have an arch here, and for this side of the castle, we're going to give this 2 square windows. 1 and 2. And for our tower, let's give our tower 2 arch windows. Let's make 2 lines, 1 and 2. Touching the line, you're going to go up and round your line and back down. 1 and 2. Now for this side of the castle, I think we should make a nice little staircase that goes down. So starting at the top, we're going to make a straight line over, then down, straight line over, then down, over, down, and over until you reach the side. All right. All right, next we are going to make our little sand bucket and sand shovel. So next to our sand castle, on the side, bottom left, I'm going to first make my sand bucket. And I'm going to make it kind of tilting, like it's kind of buried in the sand. So I'm going to make just a slanted line over. And I'm going to make one line up on one side and another line up on the other. Now I want my bucket to look like you can sort of reach in there and pour sand in there. So I'm going to connect these lines by a curved line. It's curved. And then I'm going to go curved line over. I'm going to give my sand bucket a handle so I can carry it. A rounded line up and over. I can take my little black Sharpie marker and I can do little tiny dots on the inside on one side to show that you can sort of reach inside. All right, next, the sand shovel. The sand shovel will be a shorter line than our bucket. So I'm going to make one short line next to my bucket, and then that rounded arch line again, up, rounded line, back down. At the top of my rounded line, I'm going to make two tiny little lines, short, 1 and 2. And now a triangle at the top for my handle. Line over, and then close my shape. Okay. Now we're going to make our sandy beach. To make our sandy beach, now beaches are sort of, well, they're sandy and they're kind of bumpy. So for this line, we're going to have our sandy beach, our ocean, our water, and then our sky. So this line is going to start on the left of our page, and it's going to just be a rounded line. Notice how when I get to my shovel and my bucket that I lift my marker and then I continue. Lift my marker when I get to my sandcastle and continue that line. For my horizon line of my water, this line will be straight. This line is right in the middle of the paper. Straight line over. Lift your marker when you get to your castle. Following that line with your eyes, continue that line. Okay. With our marker, we're going to add a little shading to our beach. Now, if our bucket is in the sand, and let's say maybe the sun is here, the shadow is going to be coming down this way. There'll be shadows behind our bucket. So I'm going to just gently take my marker and I'm going to do lots of little tiny dots underneath my bucket because it's shaded there, shaded sand like that. And I'm going to do the same underneath my shovel. Little tiny close dots. They're very small, like a little grain of sand. I'm going to do the same underneath my sandcastle. Tiny little dots for shading. And then I'm going to go underneath my ball as well. I'm going slow, not to make my dots too big. They're nice and close. Okay, so on my sandy beach, I've got my little tiny dots for shading. And now I'm going to take my marker and I'm just going to make these dots sort of spread out all over my sandy beach. Now remember, the first wavy line, that's your sand. The second line is your water, so let's not put the dots in there. We're going to try to keep all of our sand down on our beach. I'm going to go all the way over. Okay, I think we are finished with our marker. You can go ahead and cap up your marker. And now we're going to start shading in our art with crayons. And I think we'll start today with our brown. So find your brown for your sandcastle. And I'm going to trace my sandcastle, the outside, not the flags at the top. You can choose what color you'd like to make the flags for the top. I'm going to start at the very top of the roof and I'm going to trace the outside, just trace with brown crayon. I have a nice brown crayon, but maybe your crayon is a little lighter for lighter sand. Sand has a nice yellow glow to it. I'm going to trace those lines all the way around my sandcastle. Once you've traced around your sandcastle, go ahead and shade in your windows and your doors. I'm not pressing too hard. I'm trying to stay right in that shape. Okay, I have shaded in my windows and my door, and now I'm going to give my sandcastle shading just on one side of the shape. So let's start with the highest tower, and we're going to do just very gentle shading, making just tiny little lines that go down on one side. First tower, and then down into the second story of my sandcastle and all the way down. Okay, now let's go into the second tower, starting at the top. Those little tiny lines just on one side, all the way down. Okay. All right, now you get to decide what color you would like to make your flags the very top of your sandcastle. I chose red and yellow, so choose what color you'd like to shade in your flags and press down hard on these colors. Have you noticed that my flags are going in the same direction? Why do you suppose that is? The wind is blowing in one direction, the flags are going to go the same direction. So, yellow next, until I have both my flags shaded in. Okay. Now I'm going to color in my beach ball. I chose red and white, making a pattern, red and white, that go around, red, then white, then red. You might decide to make it a rainbow ball, or maybe 2 other different colors. So choose what colors you would like to make your beach ball, and go ahead and shade in your beach ball now. Press nice and hard. I'm going to do red and white. If you're using white, make sure you press nice and hard to cover all of the shape there. Now, and remember, if I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause to catch up. I'm ready to move on to my sand bucket and my sand shovel. And for mine, I chose orange, but you may choose a different color. And you're going to shade in that whole shape, the bucket and the shovel. I'm pressing down nice and hard. Okay, now for our sand. Now our sand is brown, like our sand castle, but there's also a little bit of yellow in it. We're not going to shade in all of our sand with crayon because we are going to use watercolor on top, but a little bit of dark around. I'm going to put some dark crayon right where we made those little dot marks, dark brown crayon right under for some shadowing. Just a little. I'm not coloring the whole thing, just a little. And then I might take a little of the yellow and maybe just a little bit of yellow. Just a couple lines. Okay. Now for my blue water and my blue sky, I chose 2 different colors. One light and one dark. I chose light blue for tropical water for my water, and then dark blue for my sky. Now I'm going to trace, we're going to do our tropical water, so a lighter blue first. I'm going to trace that wavy line here. This is my water line. Trace the bottom wavy line, and now trace that top straight line underneath the black line. Now for your water, we're going to make these little tiny dark lines that come in like this. I'm pressing hard and I'm going wide and then shorter, sort of wide and shorter. all the way on the top. If you like, you can make some wavy lines. We're not going to shade all of this in because we are going to add watercolor paint right on top. Okay, we can put this light blue away now and find your dark blue, and we're going to trace the top of, trace this horizon line here. It's on the other side of the black line, all the way across. We're going to give our sky a little detail with our blue. I'm going to turn my blue on its side, and I'm going to make back and forth lines in the sky, sort of like clouds going by. Some short, some long. I'm just going to do a couple across the sky. Maybe just about 5. Okay, and now we are ready for our watercolor paints. So finding your paintbrush and your paints. Go ahead and wet your paintbrush. Open up your brush a little, sometimes they're a little hard. And tap off any of the extra water. And we're going to start with our blue sky. Now I'm going to be very careful as I paint my blue sky not to go into my sandcastle, because we want our sandcastle to be brown like our sand. It's made out of sand, so we want to keep that brown. So with your blue in your palette, your watercolor palette, you're going to put blue just on the top. And then when I get to my castle, I'm going to go very slowly to go around carefully so I don't get blue in my sandcastle. Going to paint your the whole top blue. Now if you're painting this again, you can maybe add a sunset or dark stormy clouds, or maybe even put a boat on top of the horizon. Lots that you can add to your nice beachy scene. It's a lot of fun making a sand castle. You could add more windows to your sand castle. Really design it just the way you like it. Okay, so once we have done the top, we are now going to take that, rinse your brush, and we're going to add a little bit of purple to the top of our sky scene. I'm not going to color in the whole top. I'm just going to dip my paintbrush in the purple, and I'm going to just kind of drag it through. I want to leave some blue poking out. Those lines all the way across. All right. Next, we are going to shade in our water blue, rinse your brush. We're going to shade in our water blue. Don't forget to do the other side of the castle. And once we've shaded in our blue water, we're going to rinse our brush and we're going to put green right on top of our blue for a different shade of blue. This will dry in sort of a turquoise color. Okay. Next, we're going to shade in our sandy beach. So rinse your brush. Get off any extra water. Find your brown. And you are going to take your brown and do your whole beach. Going right over your sand and our shaded lines. Remember, if your brush gets kind of dry, to reapply more paint. And for painting our beach and our sand, it's good to get our paintbrush kind of, well, our paper a little kind of wet. You see a lot of wetness here. And when we add our salt to our beach, it really is going to look really beautiful, kind of grainy. The salt will pull the water away from the paper. Okay, so I've got quite a bit of water here. I'm going to also go now and I'm going to shade in with brown. I'm going to paint my sandcastle very slowly because I have wet paint all around. So I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to make sure that I get all that water carefully pushed around. I don't want to go into my sky. Okay, once you have shaded in your sandcastle and your beach is now shaded in, we can apply salt. This technique is one of my favorite things to do with watercolor because the salt will pull away the paint, the water from the paper. So I'm going to just gently shake this salt right over. You can see here how it's starting to pull it away, right over the wet sand. And it really does look like I've got little grains of sand for my sandcastle. There. Now let this dry just a bit, and then we can rub off all the sand once it is totally dried. Okay? And there you have your very own sandcastle. Thanks for painting with me today. See you next time. Bye.